And part of our conversation today is not only about financial wellness, but also body wellness, mind wellness. So that leads me to my next speaker. He is a CSA qualified cricket coach. He has a diploma in advanced exercise science from Trifocus Fitness Academy. He has a diploma in sports management. And he also is a qualified life coach from the Academy of Modern Applied Psychology. Also, at the same time, owner and founder of MYM Coaching. Can I call up Marcus Oliphant? Hello, Marcus. Thank you for joining us. And I mean, I would fail if I didn't say he's a friend of mine. And so I have had the luck of being able to train with him. So when we were all bored in COVID, and some of our store staff here knows we didn't get to trade for an entire month of retail, I took up fitness with Marcus. I'm also experienced in his training. So he's really good. Thank you, Marcus. Take a seat.
Thank you so much.
So I think what I'd really like to tap into, which is, again, the focus of leadership and entrepreneurship, and Cash this morning touched on having a plan and, having that financial kind of fund that you can tap into. But besides that, you got to be brave as fuck. Let's just put it out there. So Marcus, the first question I want to ask you is, what made you step out from giving up that 9-to-5 guaranteed paycheck to pursue your passion and take that risk? And what were the risks and challenges you thought about? Because, I mean, that is something that a lot of people in this room today would ask.
Well, thanks, Des, for the introduction. And just before I go, I'd just like to say thank you to the Fix just for the platform, and then also a big thank you to the speakers, because I've learned a lot today from you guys. And also thank you to UCT Radio for your consistency. That's something I appreciate as a coach. I worked a 9-to-5, as you say, for the city of Cape Town, and sort of when HR calls you into the office and sits you down and goes you can't keep taking people to the staircase to run during working hours. It gives you something to think about. It was a big decision. Just to give some background, I qualified in IT, and I worked for the city of Cape Town for 10 years in the technical services division. And basically what led to the decision to leave the city of Cape Town is that I've got a huge passion for people, for development, for growth, and what gives me the most pleasure is seeing people achieve what they want to achieve, seeing people strive towards something. And that was something that I've always been a coach as a side hustle, as you say, and I needed to really be able to throw myself into that space. And working a 9-to-5 just didn't allow me the full capacity to do that. So that sort of led me to that decision. One morning I came into the office, clocked in as usual, opened up my documents. In there was a document labeled or named resignation. I don't know how it got there. It's probably been there for a couple of years. I changed the date, popped it into Outlook and pressed send, and pretty much the rest is history.
Wow, that is brave if ever I've heard it. Then that takes me to the next question that I think we've touched on. We've also shared the fact that you're a qualified life coach. And so you talk about your passion for people and seeing them achieve their goals. And we know that, like you say, a lot of that is not possible during a 9-to-5. So talk to me about the importance of your mental mindset in achieving fitness goals.
So a big part of my coaching is very mental, because I believe that everything is very mental. So it's geared with it, running, fitness, sports coaching. I've always got a very mental angle towards how I coach, because we, as human beings, we designed sort of that way. And a fact that not many people know, and I discovered, is that we spend about 2% of our time in the present. That's actually an amazing fact to know. So I tap into a lot of how people think around fitness. An example of that, being in the present is that people often think about a goal in fitness. Let's say tomorrow you decide you want to run a full marathon. When you think about that, it's very daunting for a lot of people. And you'll think about that 42 kilometers. So where sort of being in the present comes in is just, thinking about the next 100 meters and the next 100 meters after that. So that's sort of mental training that not a lot of people think of when they think of a physical goal they want to achieve. And that's why it's really, really important. And I think that naturally we develop an idea about ourselves growing up, and it's very difficult to change that idea. We sort of reinforce that idea subconsciously. We don't know about it, but it's happening all the time. So you might say, but I'm bad at running. How can I run a marathon? And you keep telling yourself that all the time, and you never get to the point where you actually change your idea about that. So I believe in that aspect, mental training is very important whenever you're taking on any physical challenge, and how you speak to yourself matters. How you think and how you speak to yourself matters. So I focus a lot on what people say, what their body language is like, and sort of use that to help them achieve what they want to achieve.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. And showing how important what you're saying in your head and how that translates into reality. My next question then is, of course, we're talking to a very young audience. We are streaming live across all our platforms. I'll just remind you to keep following us at the Fix ZA. But a lot of them are students. A lot of them are first-time workers. So they don't necessarily have the funds to afford a gym membership or have permanent jobs to do gym memberships or afford to be able to have personal fitness training specifically. What are some easy tips that they could incorporate in terms of fitness into the everyday lifestyle?
I think one of the big things that I follow and that I believe in is that you need to attack your day and sort of do that very early in the day. I believe the first 90 minutes of your day is very important. And I think we spend a lot of that time sort of generally procrastinating and sort of easing into the day. As an example, I've got a sort of virtual passport that I give myself before I leave home. And that is, I literally have to get up, make my bed, do 50 push-ups, get through the rest of my morning routine, do another 50 push-ups before I'm allowed to leave. So...
Nicola asked if she can stop at 15. It's all about starting and then maintaining the consistency.
Yeah, but she hits on a good point because I started with 10.
There we go, girl.
So that's just an example of, and that might not be directly applicable to you, but some form of physical exercise within the first 90 minutes really helps you. Another thing that's very important is that some people don't think about is the light exposure. I think Nalu hit on sort of wanting to be out there very early. That's actually very important. You can actually go and download an app called the Light Meter and check how much light exposure you have at that time of the morning. And once again, this is applicable within the first 90 minutes of your day. And it makes a huge difference. I'd encourage anybody to try that. Try the 90 minutes, whether it be a walk, a light jog, as I do push-ups, whatever it may be that you're comfortable with, try and do it within the first 90 minutes of your day and get good light exposure. I think is very important. Another tip that I think is really important is to choose what you enjoy. Choose what you want to do, what you really... I think choice is... Once we take choice out of our own equation, our performance automatically deteriorates. Once you actually choose something that you want to do, it's a psychological fact that you'll be able to excel in that and you'll be able to really push it forward. So make choice a big part of what you do. And
choose to start exercising in that first 90 minutes of your day, okay?
Just one more thing that I'll also say is very, very important. And we're blessed to be in Cape Town.
Yeah.
We're blessed to have a lot of outdoor spaces. We've got outdoor gyms. We've got all those type of things that we can make use of that we take for granted. So I would say a big tip is you don't need to be signed up to a gym. Yeah. You can use those outdoor spaces much more. And the more you spend time in an outdoor environment, the more you pick up healthy habits. It'll happen naturally.
Any questions for Marcus?
Okay, Marcus, being in the health and fitness industry and also being a wellness coach, I'm sure everyone can relate here. We all tend to set a goal and have certain visions for our lives, but we tend to hit a slump when we find ourselves on that particular route to getting there. We encounter a lot of obstacles that we have to overcome, and there comes a point where you're not necessarily giving up, but it's like, come on, not another obstacle. How does one, you as a life coach, what tips would you have to a young individual to get themselves out of that slump and just continue pushing forward? Because some of them, when hitting that slump, they come very close to a turn back moment of, do I continue going, or like, you know what, just leave it all together?
Good question. Thank you very much for that. It taps into what I was saying earlier, because what happens is, and a lot of people will tell you, whenever you feel like you're hitting that slump, think about that goal. And I don't really believe that personally. I think that when you're thinking about that goal and you hit that slump, you sort of think, I'm so far away still. How am I going to get there? And that's where I think the process is very important, and concentrating on, like I said, that 100 meters if you're running the marathon. How am I going to take another step? If you're thinking about climbing Everest, you look up there and you think, I'm never going to get there. You get halfway and you're like, I need to turn back. I'm not going to get there. And it's about, there's a step in front of you. And that should be the focus. So when you hit that snag, it's like, but I can take one more step. You know, I can go 100 more meters. So I don't need to stop at this point. Because what happens is that the limiting factor, or the block that comes in, is you keep thinking back up. I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there. How am I going to get there? Instead of thinking about that next step.
Okay, that answers definitely the question.
Any more questions for Marcus? Behind you.
You can go first. I just want to know, in terms of like for everybody and like everyone at home watching, so in a mental place where we have busy lives ourselves and like we have these goals to be physically active and like just mentally like healthy as at the same time, with that there's a lot of or there's a statement that I always hear amongst people who want these things is like, in my busy life I want to work out but I don't have time. And I feel like that I don't have time, what my question is like, what sort of guidance in like a mental state like would you do in making time for that, like so we all could like just, does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. So I like to ask the question, and a question I'd ask to someone who has that thought process is, what's important to you? And you've got to make your decisions on a daily basis based on that. So what's important? Because if it's important to you, you're going to find a way to make time. So it's about helping that person understand the importance of, you know, being active, being fit, or whatever their goal is. How important and relevant is that to them, right? And then to prioritize and look at what the rest of the day looks like. And sort of, I mean, you probably find you spending 3-4 hours of that day on your phone. You know what I mean? So it's about helping them plan from a life coaching perspective and thinking about, okay, how can I manage my time better? Because actually these things are not important to me. And in that way I can filter it out. So it's a matter of prioritizing, basically.
Bless.
Mine is very simple. So, like, I'll be honest, I used to smoke cigarettes for a long time and I quit smoking cigarettes. I've been 30 days clean now. So, smaak eens, I'm kidding. So yeah, like, obviously when you quit, I naturally just tend to eat more because I'm like, what do I do with all this time now? So my question is about diet, because there's all sorts of diets. There's keto, there's banting, there's all sorts. Like, what type of diet, what type of general approach? I'm not gonna ask you to recommend a specific diet because that's hectic. But just what approach should I go for? Because like I buy green smoothies, I try to eat whole foods, but it's like I'm not sure like what the guide would be.
So that's a very, very good question. And I think it's very individual, sort of specific. And you've got to find what you enjoy, first of all, linking to choice again. Find what you enjoy eating and find healthy options around that. That's very important. So generally, we should be eating more and more of a plant-based diet in general. So incorporating more fruits and vegetables in our diet is something we should naturally be doing. And so once you give yourself sort of an idea by having a logbook or a food diary where you actually note down what you eat, you can start to see where you need to include, for example, fruit and veg. And then you can play around and be creative. There are a lot of options out there that people don't know about. And we've got Google at our fingertips, and you can really be creative with food. People sort of tend to think of a healthy diet as a boring one, but It's really not if you put the time into actually seeing what's out there. So be creative is what I'd say, and look into how you can. I believe very much in inclusion. So sort of having more vegetables, more fruit, as opposed to having much less of something else. So instead of excluding too many things, I believe in including more healthy options into your diet.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any more questions for Marcus?
Just one more.
No, go for it, then we'll come.
Okay, Marcus, when you started your story, it just reminds me very much of Steve Harvey. 10 years, city of Cape Town, and then you take this jump to head into health and fitness and being a wellness coach. It can be very scary for any individual in this room who finds himself working in a place where they're earning a fixed salary to take a jump into that career that makes them come alive, stepping into their gift, if I may say. What advice would you have to an individual who's waking up every single morning, going to a job that they don't enjoy, but they're so scared to take that leap of faith and actually jump? Because it can be something that's quite daunting to actually do. And I mean, after 10 years of working at a specific place,
Yes.
in your case, to take that jump and say, okay, resignation letter, I'm sending you off, I'm going for what it is I enjoy, which is people, health and fitness, and just being someone who is a life coach. Any advice to all of us specifically, if we find ourselves in that position of, okay, I'm going to a job, but I know what my gift is, and it's not what I'm actually doing?
Very good question. And just to actually finish off the story that I started with, a month after that designation went through, we were hit with a global pandemic. So that was an amazing start.
Crazy.
But what I would say is that
Talk about challenges, eh?
what I would say is that if you believe that you have that gift and you have that passion and it's something that you literally wake up every morning thinking about, right? I believe if you have that and you are a good person, it will work out for you. And you're willing to actually, you have the discipline and you have the work ethic and you focus on that, it will work out for you. So what I would say is people are very afraid of that because of, like in my case, I mean, the city of Cape Town treats you well. That's a fantastic place to work, and that's why it took me 10 years to actually get the confidence to do it. So I didn't get there easily. I really didn't get there easily, but I managed to convince myself that, you know, it's going to work based on the fact that I'm going to be disciplined and put in the amount of work that's required. And you just have that feeling inside that you know you're able to do it. So I would say people need to touch in with that gut feeling a little bit more, and then you just marry that with being completely disciplined, having the work ethic. And that's basically what you need to think about.
Thanks a lot for that. Discipline, work ethic. I think there was a question up here.
Hi, good day, Marcus. How are you?
Hi,
I'm good.
I'm well.
In terms of when you work in lower demographic areas where it's high pressured work every day, and you need to switch on from the morning till when you clock out, or working and basing a 9 to 5 or 8 to whatever time. How do you find ways to switch off once you leave that area?
When you say switch off, do you mean switch off from work?
From work.
So that's a very good question. And one of the mental practices that I do is that you, during the day, need to find ways to what I call turn up the volume and turn down the volume, so that by the end of the day, you're still able to function. So it's actually a mental practice to say, okay, you know, I'm going through my day, I'm very focused for most of my day, but I'm going to give myself, and that's why we have little body breaks and stuff like that through the day. You have to be able to completely switch off in that time. So you can personally schedule time within your day where you're going to completely switch off, maybe even from talking to the person next to you who's quite talkative. And you have to actually schedule that into your day and be like, hey, you know, I've been switched on for the last hour, I'm focused 100%, and then take 15 minutes and just, you know, wind down completely, think about the thing that relaxes you most, and you have to have those periods through the day to allow you to function, because we're human beings. We cannot sustain that type of focus for 24 hours, so it's important to implement that in your day.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. My question is quite simple, two-part question. So the first one is, do you prefer like workouts to be in the morning or evenings, like dependent on whatever? And then my second question is, do you have like workout routines for, like, for instance, on YouTube you always see the 30-day abs type thing. So do you have So do you have any of those?
And you're like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm
No, I've
Netflixing.
been doing my like nog self dieselfde, but that's alright. But so do you have of those workout regimes, and do you also prefer people working out during the morning or in evenings? Because sometimes you work out in the morning, but you have such a like busy day, and then you're tired to like tackle your next activities and all of those things. Because sometimes your workouts is quite strenuous, you know.
This is a very good question. Thank you. So, first of all, why I recommend the first 90 minutes of the day is because it gives you the best possible chance to get through your day really, really well. But people are also very different. And what's very applicable is that people have productivity at different phases in the day. So, some people function super well in the morning, and some people are more productive in the afternoon and in the evening. So, you have to really play around and find what works for you specifically. So you try everything out. You try working out in the morning, you try doing it in the evening, and you'll know after the workout exactly how you're able to function and how you feel, and that'll give you a good indication. So for me, there's no set rule to say you need to work out in the morning or the evening, but if you want to give yourself the best chance to be in the best possible mood and really to get through your day productively, the morning would be the best option. But I do acknowledge as well that some people function much better in the evening, so I'm not against that as well. The second part of your question was
The workout
routines.
regime.
So I do have, I believe that, and I'm going to tap into this again about everybody being very, I believe in working specifically to the individual. So I don't, unfortunately, have a magic formula that I'm going to throw, sort of do 300 push-ups and everything's going to be fine. I don't have those type of workouts, but I do tailor workouts specifically to individuals to help them achieve what they want to achieve. I believe much more in that way of operating. Because everybody's very different. So the promises that some people make to get you to a place might be different to you for you than to this. So it's all about finding what works for you. And that's the way I sort of tailor my routines.
I get that. My question was more like, do you have set workout routines that you do just for beginners, advanced, and intermediate? That was just basic.
Based on a goal, yes.
Yeah,
Based on different goals, yes.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Marcus? Nope, nothing. Then Marcus, I'm going to thank you for your time. Thank you for joining
Thank you
us
very
here
much.
at The Fix.
I appreciate it.
And definitely enlightening us to that. Thank you.